Welcome to the Ag Innovation News Podcast, presented by the Agricultural Utilization Research Institute of Minnesota. Welcome to the Ag Innovation News Podcast here from Minnesota AURI. I'm Jamie Dickerman, your host, and we have with us Shannon Schlecht. He is the Executive Director of AURI in Minnesota. And Shannon, this is always a really fun time because you get to take this time to look back over the past year and realize how the AURI team working on the mission, accomplishing some pretty exciting and impactful things. Thanks for taking time to be here, by the way. And this is going to be fun to be able to talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, it certainly it is fun to look back and think about the impacts and just what we're doing to work with Minnesota producers, businesses, clients, great stakeholders to help move those ideas that utilize agricultural feedstocks into the commercial marketplace. So looking forward to the conversation and sharing a few of those successes and wins that we've had throughout the year.
So as the executive director, you got to be pretty pleased with what's happened this year, with the work done.
Definitely. I'm just really proud of our team that we have in terms of the work that they do, their connections, relationships they have with industry, right? The trust that we built with a lot of, cooperatives to small businesses to producers, right? And then with our partners as well, in terms of coming together and trying to move these bigger ideas forward, right? Each year. So super proud of what we've done. I look forward to sharing a few more of those impacts and just a little bit more about how we work as an organization and how others can get engaged with us as we look forward to the next year, right? And continue to build and grow on the work that we're doing to really move this value-added agriculture right sector forward as just those ways that we can expand markets and ways that we can de-risk different ideas. It's how we see success.
So let's first of all delve in a little bit, if people aren't familiar, maybe how AURI is organized and how you come to strategic imperatives, how this all works.
Yeah, happy to give a little background or perspective. So we've been around for over 35 years now as an organization. It's hard to believe it's been that long. Created by the state back in the 1980s farm crisis of oversupplies and low prices, and really just looking at what are different ways that we could think about utilizing the crops and creating some market opportunities at that time. So we've been true to that mission, I'd say, ever since we were started in terms of looking at what are ways that we can either expand markets, develop new products, improve processes, really help spur that local demand, right? That could create either local, regional to national opportunities in terms of the feedstocks, the livestock that we grow, the crops that we produce. And I think one that we often forget about is all those different co-products and agricultural derived products that also need to find a home in that whole circular approach of how do we valorize all those different pieces that come from the agricultural right productivity, right, and the industry that we have here. So we are guided overall by our board of directors. So we are established as a 501c3 nonprofit. So a little unique in terms of being created by statute, but as a standalone entity. Which does allow us a lot of flexibility in terms of how we approach things and how we work with different entities, and allows us to be competitive for different grant opportunities as well, to see that higher mission of right driving new and expanded uses for agricultural crops. We do have 3 research and promotion councils that are represented on the AURI board. Those are beef, soybeans, and wheat today. We have our 2 general farm organizations of Farm Bureau and Farmers Unions. We've got 5 producer representatives that provide input into the programs that we do. And then we have 2 agribusinesses that are focused in that value-added space, along with 2 at-large directors that we can kind of look at what are some gaps in information that we're seeing and trends to bring in that expertise. And then, of course, we have 2 legislative directors as well that sit as chairs of the House and Senate Ag Committee. So we get together several times a year just to talk about what's going on, our strategic direction, how we can really benefit the agricultural sector and the state of Minnesota through commercialization of ideas and economic development, right, to support the agricultural sector and a lot of rural Minnesota then as well. So, and then I'll just mention, we also have 30 staff today. right, that are working across the state, and we're housed in 4 different locations, as well as with several staff being virtual. So we're in most of the corners of Minnesota, up in Crookston, down to Marshall, over to Waseca, and then we have an office at the U of M St. Paul campus as well. So that's a little bit about how we were organized and how we are situated right across the state today.
So when new things come up, and they're always coming up, I mean, obviously new topics always coming to light here. How nimble is AURI in order to jump from one to another? How quick and easy? I mean, with the staff and with the layout that you described, you guys are in a great position to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think that is what's kind of unique about us as a smaller organization and as an independent organization, that we can quickly like take a look at opportunities, develop initiatives or frameworks, connect within our networks to see what's happening, what are ideas that our collaborators might have or industry partners might have. And then I think just the expertise as well that we have on board in terms of really looking at the viability and feasibility of what those opportunities are. It's pretty unique in terms of we want to stay strategic and focused, but we can also take some quick pivots as well and dip our toes into a new opportunity, kind of test it out without expending a lot of resources, and see if we want to develop something further. So I do have a blue sky group right within the organization, and we get together quarterly just to talk about what else we're seeing that are outside of our strategic areas, and then see is there something emerging there that we need to be thinking more proactively around, and what would the benefit be to our agricultural industry, and should we be investing resources or finding new partnerships in those spaces to really move that forward? So yeah, it is fun to have that flexibility, right, to look around in terms of what's happening. And there is a lot happening, as you said, Jamie, in terms
Mhm.
of just the ideas that we get to see on a daily basis.
It's truly amazing, and being a part of this podcast now for almost a year, I think, and just being able to be and hearing some of these things, it's always super interesting. So let's Shannon, let's get into successes. The projects, capital, jobs, impact here. What did the year overall look like?
Yeah, it was a busy year. Maybe I'll just start on that front, and it was an impactful year. So those are probably two words that rise to the top for me when I think of fiscal year 25 that we just wrapped up. So we worked on, I think it was 196 projects, Jamie, right? And you think of that across 30 individuals. That's a lot of movement for everybody to keep track of what's going on and what are those different objectives of different projects. Now, some of those can be, pretty small, right, in terms of just like doing a simple task for a company or doing some testing and helping them with a nutrition facts panel. But some can be, pretty large as well in terms of thinking about how do we establish frameworks or do a full business model, right, in terms of what do they need and the different milestones that have to be achieved and helping them set that up and move that forward. So I tend to think our food projects are usually a little smaller in terms of what that looks like, and our bio-based products tend to be a little bit larger in terms of just the complexity that we move through. What one number that really drives our I think success is how impactful we are from an economic standpoint. So we ask our clients every year, right, in terms of what would you attribute how much of your success would you attribute to ARI in terms of creating new sales? And this year, over the last 5 years, our clients reported back that about 190 million in new sales they attributed to the work that AURI did with them, over that time period. And those are new annual sales, right? So we look back 5 years, but get an annual number, and that's a really good ROI when you look at our budget, right, that we received to do this work, right? Probably we're talking in the neighborhood of almost 40 to 1 returns, which is kind of unheard of in terms of thinking about what is that impact that we see. So we're really proud of that in terms of taking on projects, right, vetting them, doing that feasibility work to do things that we think will be successful, right, as well as doing a lot of work on providing input where we help companies save money. Right, when we provide our input and say maybe the market's not ready for this yet, or you should really think about doing this before you spend additional dollars to move that along. So we look at it in both ways, but of course, most proud of when we move things into the marketplace. And then another side of our work that that we do is really looking at like process improvements and what else could companies be looking at. And a number that we also collect from our clients is how much capital they're investing into their businesses. And over the last 5 years, that number reported this year was $129 million that we help them de-risk, right, or have confidence to move forward with in terms of making that investment, seeing that opportunity in the marketplace to use the different agricultural feedstocks that they were looking at to move forward. And then we look at jobs retained and created as well. And I think we're close to 700 jobs created or retained. Right. So those are, I'd say, key indicators that we look at in terms of success. Um, I'll add this year we did one additional look, right, in terms of impact that we haven't done in the past because it's just a little harder to quantify, and that was looking at our initiatives that we do, right, which are more of a general public good awareness, right, or working on a pre-competitive basis, or just right, how do we help companies expand those market opportunities by just showcasing what's happening and getting the market ready for these new opportunities as well. So we went back and looked at several of our initiatives over the last 5 years, talked to right our partners that we had on those, took a look at what was happening in the marketplace just through headlines and conversations with industry, and that number it came up to about $800 million, right? That our stakeholders or collaborators said, yeah, we think there's been about this much investment occurred or will occur in the next several years in those areas that we were really interested in and trying to move forward. So, of course, that number isn't all attributed to AURI by any means, but a number right where we had a part in that, and we're really trying to develop those sectors or those areas, all right, with multiple partners to help create that type of economic impact.
Quite the year indeed. So if how do businesses or people find you to work together on projects?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we often, say we're one of the best kept secrets, right? So we don't want to be the best kept secret. So we appreciate this podcast and the work that you do to get the word out about these different opportunities and different innovations. But we do host 10. We hosted 10 different events during this last year, and that is a great opportunity for stakeholders and interested parties to get together to learn about what we do, right? To network and to create those relationships and hear about what we do in all these different areas that we work in as an organization. And a lot of it is really just word of mouth, right? So we have a lot of referrals that occur. And that's either through past client work that we've had or through our stakeholders and partners that we have across the state and across the region that are like, well, you should reach out to AURI, right? Because they have some expertise or they might be able to lead you in the right steps in terms of moving those opportunities forward. And we do some advertising as well, right? And we're getting much more active in terms of looking at certain areas that we really want to develop and really trying to create some deeper industry relationships so that we can have greater awareness around creating client projects or having more collaborative efforts together.
Now, in the past year, there's been a lot of exciting developments, but I mean specifically in some certain areas, such as biogas, Minnesota's role in that, industrial hemp, and a protein sustainability initiative co-led with Embold. You want to maybe talk about those because those were pretty significant to Minnesota's rural economy.
Yeah, no, happy to talk about those. It has been very great to see these bigger initiatives move forward in terms of how we think about short term to longer term opportunities and impacts that could be really beneficial to the agriculture sector here. So I kind of alluded to it earlier. We have decided to focus in on a few areas that we really want to move forward. Right, and those are scaling food businesses. So how do we continue to support the local food economy, regional food economy to really see some greater opportunities for right those businesses that are in that space. Food ingredients, right, looking at the supply chain a little differently, be it earlier on than the consumer packaged goods side. And then co-product valorization, which we've seen has been a tried and true area for us for many years in terms of valorization of those different side streams, bio-based products, and then renewable energy has always been kind of this bigger area of ethanol, biodiesel. Right, we've looked at green ammonia and hydrogen as well. we decided to focus in on biogas, and for the coming years. And it's one of these areas that doesn't get a lot of attention overall, right? It kind of comes in cycles, but we see a good point in time in terms of looking at the biogas market. So we have, with one-time money from the state legislature that we received, we've really, put a bet in this area to create more information, awareness, have conversations, and see how we could be helpful for more producers to be able to participate in this renewable energy space. So we've done, everything from investing in equipment and laboratory space to do business case feasibility and viability of how much biogas can be produced from different agricultural feedstocks, whether that be manure to crop residues. We've done a renewable energy roundtable that we just hosted in December here of 2025. We had over 100 people in from that, some international participants that came in to take a look what was happening in Minnesota with our renewable energy goals and the Natural Gas Innovation Act and those different levers that exist here to try to move the market opportunity forward there. And then we created a producer guide because we were hearing our producers that were getting approached by developers and making sure that our producers were well informed to have those really positive conversations around what questions to ask, what type of business models might they be looking at, what are some of the contractual arrangements that are common in the industry, and just kind of showcasing all those different pieces. And we're currently moving forward on trying to create a framework or a roadmap for the biogas sector for the state of Minnesota as well. So we're pulling together industry leaders from right across several different segments of the value chain for biogas, and really trying to figure out how do we better position and better, more quickly, I'd say, move this biogas opportunity forward so that more than the large farms can participate. Right? How do we get the small and medium size producers to be viable for participating in this sector as well? So that's one area that is it's a pretty large body of work right now for us, but a pretty exciting area in terms of thinking about how do we think of additional renewable energy opportunities right beyond ethanol, biodiesel, renewable diesel, SAF, right, that we can continue participating in and create one more channel for our agricultural feedstocks to move into. Regarding industrial hemp, it's one of those areas that we were early on as an organization, just looking at what is that crop opportunity. I think back to the earliest roadmap we did back in 2018, 2019, after the Farm Bill was passed. Just thinking about how does this fit into Minnesota's landscape and what are the various products and new uses that we could develop from industrial hemp. So we continue to see just a lot of client activity in that area of just looking at what can we make from industrial hemp, how can we be supportive in those, right, using the fiber, using the herd, everything from green building projects, which I think you had a podcast on right earlier this year, to looking at how do we think about standards and the characteristics of hemp and how does it fit into different end products. So we were pretty excited about the ag appropriations bill that went through this year. Had $500,000 allocated for industrial hemp research. Really focused on fiber, and we thank Senator Klobuchar for her leadership there in terms of moving that forward, and really looking forward to partnering with USDA, to try to move those areas forward. And then I would just say, there's all sorts of other areas for industrial hemp in terms of the oil, the meal, all these different spaces that we can participate in as well, and look at these opportunities. It's not without challenges, right? But there are opportunities as we think about what does a third crop look like on the landscape, and how can we do that in collaboration with several others. I will just add one other thought in there as well. We have been working with some genetics companies on the hybridization of hemp, and there have been several site locations of trials of hybrid hemp in Minnesota. Of looking at what's that productivity gain that we would see, and how does that pencil into the economics overall of making that a viable choice for producers. So great to see that interest from those genetics companies as well, and looking at the upper Midwest here for really advancing and creating specific varieties, that would be beneficial to producers and to industry here as well. I'll jump in on the protein sustainability piece too, right? There is a lot to talk about here. We do co-lead the protein catalyst work with Embold. So Embold is, spearheaded that. We've been a member of the Embold coalition for almost 10 years now, where the CEOs of a lot of the legacy food and egg companies here get together and look at what are some pre-competitive areas that we can collaborate around and where we'd be stronger together versus as individuals. So protein was identified as an area several years ago that we saw that the market trends moving in the upward direction, and just thinking about, right, how can we be more a catalyst, right, in terms of advancing protein and doing it in a sustainable manner. So we're happy to partner with Embold on this and try to move these different ideas forward. So it's as we look at all the spaces that are happening in that protein sustainability piece, there's a lot of ways for groups to engage. Right, everything from looking at, right, the overall hub efforts and the connectivity of just the industry and creating those business relationships and that opportunity, to looking at new food ingredients, right? So really focused at this point on oats and dry beans, which dry beans being a pretty large acreage crop here, and oats used to be a larger acreage crop, right? And there continues to be some interest there as well. On the animal feed side and looking at feed ingredient opportunities, we've been looking at winter camelina and industrial hemp, and then alfalfa solubles as well. So thinking about how could alfalfa work into monogastric diets, in addition to ruminants that it's typically used in. And then we also co-lead the protein catalyst. Jason Robinson from our team is kind of the point of entry in terms of for those that have questions or are really interested in engaging around protein with our ecosystem, right? Just having someone that they can talk to, because it is pretty diverse, right? And it's pretty big, right? It can be daunting if you're not from this area in terms of like who should I connect with, what does that look like, who are other entities I should be talking to. And then one that I co-lead as well with Naturally Minnesota is our Bold Growth Program. And that's a really unique program. You think about accelerators for entrepreneurs and small businesses. This one is a very highly tailored accelerator type program where we only take 2 or 3 companies from around the world each year that have really unique business cases looking at protein, and then surround them by just all the technical expertise that exists within the food and egg ecosystem here within Minnesota, in the upper Midwest, and see if we can unlock, right, some of the challenges and pain points that they have to move those businesses forward. So that one's like a 6 to 9 month program of really trying to see how can we catalyze some of that commercial activity that would be beneficial to, right, the broader industry sector as well. So yeah, lots happening. That I could talk about that. I could talk about that for quite a while, right? In terms of how we've engaged and how we're trying to create some new opportunities in collaboration, right, through this Embold initiative and leadership collaborative that's been set up.
So absolutely a lot to talk about, Shannon. And in terms of supporting food businesses, AURI is also introducing some new resources. And do you want to talk a little bit about that? New office hours, new meat benchmarking tool, other stuff going on. You want to kind of dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, happy to dive in on some of these new resources that we're putting together, right, to provide more education and just ways that we can be more efficient, I think, in sharing information and supporting, right, our food businesses and others in the value added egg sector as well. We've always done 1 point guides. They're on our website. They're great little tools in terms of 1 or 2 pagers, right, or sometimes a little bit more, right, if it's a more complex subject, but just to get started on understanding the background. What are some of those things that we should be aware of as you're moving right, a food product forward? And it kind of sets you up for a really good conversation with our business development team or one of our food scientists in terms of asking the right questions and just being a little bit farther along, right, through a quick little pre-read on some of those 1 point guides that we have. And then a little over a year ago, we did this a virtual assistant using AI. And that was one of our first ventures into looking at how could AI be helpful to what we do as an organization. So we created Ava, which is AURI's virtual assistant, right? And it's been a fun tool for us to develop and just think about, like, how do we use technology in a more proactive manner? And it's really as I look at, we think of AI as these large language models, right? I would call this a small language model, right? Where we put together the content, put in guardrails in terms of just where is it looking for the information, and that's all been curated by our food scientists and our team. Right, so we have a lot of faith in the credibility of the responses that would come back from Ava, and right, it's available 24/7. So we know that sometimes entrepreneurs and right and companies and individuals keep different hours. Right, it's not always 8 to 5. So this is a resource that can be accessed anytime with, I would say, highly credible information, especially in the food area. If there's questions, and it can help lead towards next things to explore as well as results. And then our team's always available to validate right those responses as well if you reach out to us for a conversation. So we did that with money from USDA Rural Development through a grant, and then have continued to move that forward with some one-time money from the state of Minnesota as well, that we had to support food businesses. And then finally, I'll just mention the meat benchmarking study. So this is an area we had this cooperative agreement with the USDA in place post COVID, just looking at what more can we do to support local and regional meat processors. And one idea that really gained a lot of interest and traction from, I think, USDA as well as right, capital providers and lending institutions, was looking at industry standards for the local and regional meat processing industry. And right, this is done. I think the grocery industry has something, the ethanol industry has benchmarking, right? But we didn't find anything on local and regional meat. There's a lot of entities, right, or businesses spread out, especially across the upper Midwest. And could we create this point of entry, right, under a benchmarking that they could share confidentially their operations and financial data through with in partnership with Christensen LLP, which is right a pretty large accounting firm here in Minnesota and the Upper Midwest that supports businesses, and then use those right, compare their data against an industry average, right, those that have contributed their data into this as well. And a great way for them to see where are they performing well, where could they improve, what are others doing, and I think really help support the resiliency of local and regional meat processors. So we have decided as an organization through the money that we received from the state of Minnesota as well to offset the entire cost for entities that want to get started in that process for year one. So that includes a cost of Christensen LLP and right some stipend as well to for the time right that it would take those entities to put that data, pull it together, and input it as well. So we really would love to see that take off. We think it could be extremely valuable as entities think about, right, what is their business, what is maybe their future growth plans in terms of where else they should be looking, and just having a set of data as well to talk to your lending institution or your financial provider in terms of, right, this is how I'm doing against others, and just creates I think some great talking points and some great data validation points for next steps. So reach out to us if you have interest in that area. We'd love to visit further and see if right, that could be a helpful tool and resource to support, right, our many small and local regional meat processors that we have across the state here in Minnesota.
A lot of exciting things going on. In closing, I guess, with the challenges that we've seen the past year in the ag community, I mean, we've seen, higher input costs. We've seen lower prices. The markets haven't been great, and things haven't really improved. It's been a tough go. Tariffs, everything else. It's been a tough go. And so when we look at that, and we now talk about all the different things that ARI can do, what do you feel AURI can do to help out right now in this real time of uncertainty?
Yeah, great question. It definitely is challenging, right? When we look at, I grew up on a farm, right? My brother still farms, so I know we have conversations around just right how challenging times are right now in terms of margins and right negative margins for a lot of a lot of individuals. And I think ARI was created during a difficult time in terms of how can we look at things differently in terms of market opportunities and market expansion. And I think what we can do for individuals. I mean, diversity is of right your portfolio is something that can be considered, right? And I think what's unique about us is we can have those conversations in terms of what are we seeing with other crop opportunities or other trends in the marketplace in terms of assessing those spaces where producers or small businesses might be looking right at exploring right, and how can we help in terms of sharing some additional perspective around that to see if it's should we move forward with those decisions, or right, is it too risky still to do so. Right between our technical expertise that we have married up with our business expertise, we can provide a pretty well-rounded assessment of what that opportunity is. And what's also great about the partnership that we've had with the state for several years is like a lot of that cost is subsidized or offset, right? So we can do that at a very reasonable cost point for Minnesota entities that are really looking at what are some next steps or some value added opportunities that would help me in terms of moving beyond the commodity side of it, and doing right, participating in that next stage in the value chain of new opportunities. So I would just encourage anybody that's right thinking about next steps, or right investing in any next steps of processing, just reach out for a conversation with us. We'll see if there's a project opportunity that we could create together. Or I think what's also great about us is we're having conversations with right people every day around the state, around the country, sometimes around the world, right? And so we have a lot of data points that we can share across the value chain to, I think just help create some additional perspective in terms of making those decisions, and making referrals to others that have interest in as well. And are there some partnership or collaborative opportunities that could be moved forward in addition? So I would just say we're here as a resource, right? We've got a good track record of providing impact. We'd love to be able to do more of that type of work, right? Especially in these challenging times, in terms of right, how can we assist, and how can we identify and share some resources, or provide some match to really accelerate some of those ideas, right, and create new market opportunities, because we all know that utilization and that last right, it's always that last bit of supply is where right, a big part of the price increase comes from, as we look at disappearance overall on the crops that we produce here.
Well, it's been great having you on, Shannon, and going over and talking about the year that was with AURI, and an exciting 2026 is on the horizon. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on with us.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. I always look forward to doing it again next year, Jamie, in terms of right, sharing what we've been working on, and seeing what more we can do as an organization, and collaboration and partnership with everybody that we work with. I might just end. I have to give a big shout out to right, the partnership with the legislature and all of our collaborators across the sector here, as well as to our volunteer board, right, who really help provide great perspective in terms of how can we be most impactful and create the best ROI for the agricultural sector and what we're doing. And then finally to our staff, right, who really are just right, the ingenuity that they have, the dedication that they have to our clients and our stakeholders to really drive some impactful opportunities forward. So thank you for the time. Thank you for what you do as well, Jamie, and sharing the message, and right, sharing all the great things and sometimes challenging things, right, that we see in agriculture.
It's certainly a lot of fun, and it's been great to be a part of. Shannon, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. And that'll do it for this edition of the Ag Innovation Podcast presented by AURI. This has been the Ag Innovation News Podcast presented by the Agricultural Utilization Research Institute of Minnesota.